How did Native Americans manage to survive the harshest winters for generations, building homes that kept them warm, safe, and healthy without modern insulation, heating, or ventilation systems? The answer lies in a profound understanding of local materials, environmental conditions, and human needs applied over centuries to create dwellings that controlled heat, smoke, and indoor movement. Each home was not just shelter, it was a carefully engineered system designed to retain warmth, channel smoke safely, and allow people to move and live efficiently inside, even when snow and freezing temperatures dominated the landscape. The wisdom embedded in these structures reflects both deep observation and a trial-and-error approach passed down through generations, ensuring that communities could thrive in winter conditions that would have challenged most pre-modern societies. The foundation of winter homes was the selection of building materials suited to local climates. In the northern, woodlands, bark, timber, and clay were abundant and versatile. Logs provided structural support, while bark and clay offered insulation against wind and snow. In the plains and Arctic regions, earth, sod, and animal hides were common, forming insulated walls and roofs that trapped warmth effectively. Every material was chosen for its thermal properties as much as for availability, creating homes that could withstand months of sub-zero temperatures. This combination of environmental knowledge and material science was critical in controlling heat retention, preventing drafts, and creating a stable interior climate. Construction techniques were equally sophisticated. In the eastern woodlands, longhouses and wigwams were framed with flexible saplings, bent and tied to create domed or elongated structures. The curvature of the walls allowed snow to shed naturally, while the tight interweaving of saplings and bark created a barrier against wind penetration. Roofs were layered with bark or thatch, providing additional insulation. In colder northern regions, semi-subterranean homes were common, with floors dug below ground level to take advantage of the Earth's thermal mass. This natural insulation kept interiors warmer and reduced exposure to wind, demonstrating an intuitive understanding of passive heating principles. Smoke management was central to these designs. Fires were necessary for cooking and warmth, but poorly managed smoke could create hazards and reduce air quality. Native Americans mastered ventilation through smoke holes, flues, and strategically positioned openings. In wigwams, the central fire pit was placed under a conical roof with a small opening at the top, allowing smoke to rise and escape while drawing in fresh air from lower vents. In longhouses, multiple fires were placed along the length of the structure, each with its own smoke channel, preventing the accumulation of soot and maintaining breathable air. The careful positioning and design of these smoke outlets required precise observation of airflow and an understanding of fire behavior within enclosed spaces. The placement of doors and entryways was another crucial factor. Doors were often positioned to minimize drafts and reduce heat loss, sometimes facing away from prevailing winds or equipped with overlapping flaps of bark, hides, or woven materials. In larger structures, interior partitions and corridors were designed to channel movement efficiently while maintaining warmth. People could enter and exit without allowing cold air to rush through the entire home, demonstrating an understanding of indoor airflow and thermal zoning that prefigured modern principles of building science. The integration of thermal mass and insulation was another key aspect. Floors were sometimes lined with layers of grass, mats, or hides to reduce heat loss into the ground. Walls were reinforced with clay, mud, or additional bark layers, creating a combination of insulation and structural stability. The roof was treated similarly, with multiple layers of organic materials that trapped air and reduced conductive heat loss. By combining insulation in walls, roofs, and floors with the strategic placement of fire sources, Native Americans created homes capable of maintaining comfortable temperatures for extended periods. Interior arrangements supported efficient use of heat and minimized exposure to smoke. Central hearths were placed to radiate warmth evenly, while sleeping areas and storage spaces were positioned to take advantage of the heat gradient. Beds and seating were often elevated on platforms, keeping occupants above cooler floors and providing comfort. In communal structures, the design allowed multiple families to share warmth while maintaining personal space, demonstrating a sophisticated approach to spatial planning that balanced comfort, privacy, and efficient heat distribution. Animal hides and textiles were used to enhance insulation and comfort inside winter homes. Hides could line walls, floors, and roofs, adding additional thermal protection while softening living surfaces. Mats and woven fabrics provided bedding and seating insulation, while curtains or hanging dividers helped retain heat in specific areas of the home. These flexible materials allowed interior spaces to be adjusted dynamically according to activity, occupancy, and seasonal changes, reinforcing the adaptability and intelligence of the design. Communal knowledge played a critical role in building and maintaining these homes. Skills and techniques were transmitted across generations through hands-on apprenticeship, oral instruction, and observation. Families learned which materials performed best in specific climates, how to layer insulation effectively, how to position smoke outlets, and how to maintain structures throughout the harsh winter months. This cultural transmission ensured that knowledge was preserved and refined over time, creating homes that were resilient, functional, and sustainable across generations. Orientation of homes relative to sun, wind, and topography was also crucial. Builders considered solar exposure, prevailing winds, and natural terrain features when siting structures. Homes were positioned to maximize sunlight during winter days, reduce wind exposure, and take advantage of natural shelters like hills, tree lines, or rock formations. This careful site selection enhanced thermal efficiency, reduced energy loss, and created safer living conditions during storms and extreme cold. The design of entryways and smoke ventilation also reflected an understanding of air circulation. Cold air entering through doors could be channeled through side vents, while smoke was directed upward and out through roof openings. Some homes featured adjustable smoke flaps, allowing residents to regulate airflow according to wind direction and fire intensity. This dynamic control of ventilation created a healthier interior environment, reducing the risks of respiratory issues and improving comfort during long winters. Communal and ceremonial aspects of winter homes reinforced their practical design. In longhouses, spaces were organized for communal living, food storage, and ritual activity, all within a framework that controlled temperature and air quality. Smoke from fires could be channeled to different areas, providing warmth and also deterring pests. Platforms and partitions created zones that were warmer and more sheltered, while still allowing circulation and access to smoke outlets. This integration of social function and environmental control reflects a holistic understanding of human needs within architectural design. Subterranean and semi-subterranean homes showcased another layer of sophistication. By partially embedding structures into the ground, builders leveraged the thermal mass of the earth to stabilize indoor temperatures. Walls and roofs were reinforced with layers of sod, clay, or bark to improve insulation. Entryways were often tunneled or built with low thresholds, reducing drafts and controlling heat loss. These designs were particularly effective in extreme northern climates, where above-ground structures alone would not have provided adequate warmth during prolonged winters. The use of natural ventilation for both smoke and heat distribution demonstrates a keen observation of physics in action. Fires were placed and maintained to maximize radiant warmth, while openings were strategically sized and positioned to allow smoke to rise without chilling the space below. The result was a home where people could cook, socialize, and sleep comfortably without suffering from smoke inhalation or excessive heat loss. Over time, small refinements in placement and construction enhanced the efficiency and safety of these systems, illustrating a long history of experimentation and observation. Maintenance of winter homes was an ongoing task. Roofs were inspected for leaks, smoke outlets cleared, and insulation layers replaced or repaired as needed. Floors and walls were periodically reinforced or lined with fresh materials, and communal participation ensured that even large structures remained functional throughout the winter. This regular care was essential for sustaining warmth and air quality, highlighting the combination of practical skill and cultural commitment that underpinned the survival strategies of Native American communities. Even small design choices, such as the height of smoke holes, the curvature of roof lines, or the thickness of bark layers, had significant effects on heat retention and smoke movement. Builders understood that subtle differences could improve comfort, reduce exposure to cold drafts, and enhance the efficiency of fires. This iterative attention to detail exemplifies the empirical knowledge embedded in traditional architecture, passed down through observation, testing, and collective experience over generations. The communal nature of many winter homes amplified the benefits of these design strategies. In longhouses, multiple families shared resources, warmth, and labor, creating a collective system of heat retention. Central fires radiated warmth to all occupants, while partitions allowed for individualized comfort zones. Smoke channels were coordinated to prevent conflicts, and the organization of the interior optimized both social function and environmental control. This integration of social structure and architecture demonstrates that Native American winter homes were not merely shelters, but carefully engineered environments supporting the survival and well-being of entire communities. Storage and food preservation were also incorporated into home design. Elevated platforms, alcoves, and compartments allowed food to remain dry and insulated, while proximity to warmth from central fires helped prevent spoilage. The arrangement of storage and sleeping areas took advantage of thermal gradients, ensuring that spaces used for living, cooking, and storage maintained appropriate temperatures for comfort and safety. This holistic approach to interior planning underscores the integration of function, health, and environmental control in traditional home construction. By combining site selection, material choice, structural design, ventilation, and interior arrangement, Native Americans created winter homes capable of sustaining life in extreme cold for generations. These homes were efficient, adaptive, and resilient, demonstrating a sophisticated understanding of the interaction between human activity, environmental forces, and available resources. They were also culturally significant, reflecting social organization, communal living, and the transmission of knowledge across time. Through careful observation, experimentation, and communal learning, Native Americans developed winter homes that controlled heat, smoke, and indoor movement with remarkable effectiveness. These structures were not static. They were continuously refined, maintained, and adapted to meet changing environmental conditions and social needs. The result was a system of architecture that allowed communities to thrive through harsh winters, ensuring survival and well-being without the benefit of modern technology. The knowledge embedded in these homes reflects centuries of lived experience and cultural wisdom. Every aspect, from roof curvature to smoke hole placement to interior partitions, was designed with a purpose: to maintain warmth, manage air quality, and allow safe and efficient movement inside. Generations relied on this expertise, passing it down through apprenticeship, oral instruction, and shared labor, creating a continuity of survival knowledge that endured across centuries. The effectiveness of these winter homes was evident not only in survival but in the comfort, productivity, and cohesion of the communities that inhabited them. By managing heat, smoke, and indoor movement, Native Americans created environments where daily life could continue despite harsh external conditions. Cooking, socializing, sleeping, and storage were all integrated into a system that maximized efficiency and safety. These homes were living examples of how human ingenuity, cultural knowledge, and environmental adaptation could combine to create sustainable and resilient shelter in extreme climates. The ingenuity of Native American winter homes extended far beyond basic shelter. They represented a careful orchestration of materials, airflow, and thermal management designed to sustain life during months of extreme cold. Every element, from the walls and roof to the placement of hearths and partitions, was conceived to maximize warmth while minimizing the dangers of smoke and stagnant air. In communal structures such as longhouses, this careful planning was amplified. Multiple families could inhabit a single building, each contributing to and benefiting from a shared system of heat and ventilation. The design principles ensured that heat was distributed effectively, smoke was channeled safely out of living spaces, and daily activities could proceed without exposure to extreme conditions. Central hearths were the heart of winter homes. These fires were positioned to radiate warmth efficiently, often in locations that allowed smoke to rise naturally through smoke holes while distributing heat across floors and sleeping platforms. In larger structures, multiple hearths were strategically located along the building's length, each serving distinct sections of the interior. This configuration allowed families to gather around fires for cooking, warmth, and social interaction, while preventing the accumulation of smoke in areas where people slept or worked. The careful observation of fire behavior and airflow over generations allowed communities to optimize both comfort and safety in these critical living spaces. Ventilation was managed with remarkable precision. Smoke holes, flues, and small vents were placed at heights and positions that encouraged upward airflow, drawing smoke out without creating drafts that would chill inhabitants. Roof designs, whether conical for wigwams or gently sloping for longhouses, facilitated this airflow, allowing smoke to escape even in strong winds or heavy snow. Adjustable smoke flaps in some homes allowed residents to control ventilation according to the intensity of the fire, the direction of the wind, and the number of occupants. This dynamic control ensured that indoor air quality remained high while maximizing thermal efficiency. Walls and roofs were carefully layered to provide both structural stability and insulation. In woodland regions, layers of bark, woven mats, and clay created thick barriers that reduced heat loss while remaining breathable. In northern or plains regions, earth, sod, and animal hides were layered to trap warmth and block wind. These materials also absorbed and slowly released heat, maintaining a stable interior temperature even when outdoor conditions fluctuated dramatically. The combination of thermal mass and insulation allowed people to remain comfortable throughout the day and night, with minimal energy expenditure to maintain warmth. Interior organization played a critical role in maintaining heat and supporting daily life. Sleeping platforms were often elevated, keeping occupants above cooler floors, while storage areas for food and tools were arranged to take advantage of warmer zones near the fire. Pathways and corridors were designed to allow movement without significant exposure to drafts, and partitions or hanging dividers were used to retain heat in occupied areas. This zoning strategy not only improved comfort, but also reduced the amount of fuel required to heat the space, demonstrating an efficient use of resources that was critical in harsh winter environments. Materials inside homes were selected with comfort and thermal regulation in mind. Animal hides, furs, and woven mats provided insulation on floors, walls, and platforms. Bedding consisted of layered furs and grasses that trapped heat close to the body, allowing people to rest comfortably even in sub-zero conditions. Curtains or hanging dividers were sometimes used to create small insulated areas within larger communal spaces, enabling warmth to be concentrated where it was most needed. This thoughtful arrangement of interior materials enhanced both comfort and efficiency, reflecting generations of empirical observation. The integration of communal activity and architecture enhanced the performance of winter homes. Cooking, heating, and social interaction were all centered around the hearth, creating natural patterns of heat distribution. Children and elders were positioned in areas where warmth was most consistent, while labor and food preparation took place near fire sources. By aligning social and functional needs with environmental control, communities maximize the benefits of their homes while minimizing exposure to cold and smoke. This integration demonstrates that architecture was not just functional, it was a medium for social organization and survival strategy. Site selection was crucial in maximizing the effectiveness of winter homes. Builders carefully chose locations that provided natural shelter from prevailing winds, that took advantage of sun exposure, and that were near essential resources like water and firewood. Hills, tree lines, and rock formations were used strategically to reduce wind chill and snow accumulation. Homes were positioned to harness passive solar heat during daylight hours, with south-facing openings capturing sunlight while minimizing drafts from the north or west. This understanding of microclimates reflects a sophisticated environmental literacy, allowing communities to create optimal living conditions within extreme landscapes. Firewood and fuel management were closely linked to the design of the home. Storage areas were positioned near entrances or along interior walls to allow easy access while keeping fuel dry and protected from the cold. Central hearths and auxiliary fires were designed to burn efficiently, producing maximum heat with minimal smoke. Fire placement also considered the natural rise of smoke, ensuring that flammable materials and sleeping areas remained safe. The careful integration of fuel management, fire design, and architectural features reflects a systemic approach to survival that balanced resource efficiency with human comfort and safety. The construction of semi-subterranean homes demonstrates a particularly advanced understanding of heat retention. By embedding part of the structure below ground level, builders leveraged the Earth's stable thermal properties. Floors remained warmer than ambient air temperatures, and walls were insulated naturally by surrounding soil. Roofs were layered with earth, sod, or bark to further improve insulation and reduce wind penetration. This combination of subterranean design and layered materials created an interior environment that maintained warmth with minimal fuel, allowing communities to endure long winters without excessive labor or exposure to harsh conditions. Regular maintenance was essential for sustaining the effectiveness of winter homes. Roofs were inspected and repaired, smoke outlets cleared, and insulation layers replenished or reinforced as needed. Floors and platforms were maintained to prevent cold drafts, and partitions or mats were adjusted seasonally to optimize thermal performance. Maintenance was not an occasional task, but a continuous process integrated into daily routines and communal labor practices. This attention to upkeep ensured that homes remained safe, warm, and functional over multiple winters, preserving both human comfort and survival. Airflow management extended beyond smoke control to overall indoor climate. Cold air entering through doors or cracks could be channeled strategically to prevent chilling occupied areas, while heat from fires was distributed efficiently through placement and interior design. Partitions, raised platforms, and strategic furniture placement contributed to controlled circulation, preventing cold pockets and allowing residents to move safely and comfortably within the space. This control of indoor movement and thermal zones demonstrates an advanced understanding of environmental dynamics and human needs. The cultural dimension of winter homes reinforced their practical effectiveness. Knowledge of materials, construction techniques, and maintenance routines was passed through generations, ensuring continuity and refinement. Communities developed shared standards for building, insulating, and organizing homes, allowing even newcomers or younger members to adapt quickly. These practices created a culture of resilience, embedding survival knowledge directly into the construction and use of homes. By intertwining social, cultural, and architectural knowledge, Native Americans created environments that were both physically and socially sustainable. Spatial planning within homes reflected a sophisticated understanding of human comfort and activity patterns. Areas for sleeping, cooking, and socializing were arranged to maximize access to warmth while minimizing exposure to smoke or cold drafts. Storage areas were located to preserve food while maintaining interior thermal balance. Movement corridors were designed to reduce exposure to cold when entering or exiting the home, and partitions could be adjusted dynamically to concentrate heat where needed. This careful orchestration of space demonstrates a deep understanding of how human activity interacts with environmental conditions. Seasonal adjustments were another hallmark of effective winter home design. Openings, insulation layers, and interior arrangements could be modified according to weather patterns, snowfall, and fuel availability. Fire intensity and placement were adjusted to optimize heat without excessive smoke, and temporary barriers or coverings were added to entrances to prevent heat loss during storms. These dynamic adaptations allowed communities to respond effectively to changing conditions, ensuring survival and comfort throughout the winter months. The combination of material science, thermal management, airflow control, and cultural knowledge created homes that were remarkably efficient. Even in extreme conditions, occupants could cook, sleep, socialize, and store food without succumbing to cold, smoke, or exposure. Every element, from roof curvature to smoke hole design, from flooring materials to platform elevation, served a specific function in maintaining a livable indoor environment. This holistic approach reflects centuries of accumulated knowledge, tested and refined through observation, experimentation, and communal learning. Winter homes were more than shelters. They were integrated systems supporting life, health, and community cohesion. By controlling heat, smoke, and indoor movement, Native Americans created environments that balanced environmental extremes with human needs. The designs optimized fuel efficiency, maintained air quality, and provided thermal comfort, enabling survival and social stability. Homes functioned as living laboratories where generations refined techniques to meet the challenges of the cold season effectively and sustainably. Through careful siting, structural innovation, interior planning, and ongoing maintenance, Native Americans constructed winter homes capable of sustaining life for generations. Their designs were adaptive, resilient, and culturally reinforced, demonstrating a sophisticated integration of human needs, environmental conditions, and material properties. These structures allowed communities to thrive in extreme climates, providing warmth, safety, and comfort even when snow, ice, and frigid winds dominated the landscape. By embedding knowledge of heat management, smoke control, and spatial efficiency into their homes, Native Americans created a legacy of architectural intelligence that extended far beyond basic shelter. Their winter homes were dynamic systems, combining practical, social, and environmental wisdom to support survival and quality of life. The lessons embedded in these structures continue to inspire an appreciation for the ingenuity, observation, and cultural continuity that enabled communities to endure harsh winters for centuries. The sophistication of Native American winter homes became most apparent when examining the long-term performance of these structures over the course of harsh seasons. While the basic principles of insulation, ventilation, and interior arrangement provided immediate comfort, the true genius of these homes lay in their ability to sustain warmth, air quality, and structural integrity over months of snow, ice, and sub-zero temperatures. Maintenance, observation, and adaptation were continuous processes. Families and communities knew that survival depended not only on the initial construction, but on a living relationship with the home, constantly responding to changing weather conditions and the demands of daily life. Heat retention was reinforced through multiple layers of insulation, both in the structure itself and in interior furnishings. Roofs layered with bark, earth, or sod, walls reinforced with clay or woven materials, and floors padded with grasses or furs created a buffered environment. The air trapped between these layers acted as an insulating barrier, reducing conductive heat loss while maintaining breathable airflow. Interior furnishings such as raised sleeping platforms and mats enhanced this effect, concentrating warmth around the body while keeping cooler air near the floor. By using both structural and movable insulation, occupants could regulate thermal zones according to activity, demonstrating a nuanced understanding of microclimate management within the home. The strategic placement of hearths and fire sources remained a cornerstone of winter home functionality. Fires were carefully sized and positioned to provide maximum radiant heat while minimizing smoke buildup. In larger communal structures, multiple hearths allowed heat to be distributed evenly, creating warm zones without excessive fuel consumption. Firewood was stored nearby, but insulated from cold drafts, ensuring a ready supply throughout the winter. The choreography of fire. Management was as much a cultural practice as a practical one, teaching younger members of the community how to balance warmth, ventilation, and resource use efficiently. Ventilation systems, which initially served to remove smoke, evolved to play a broader role in controlling indoor air quality. Smoke holes, flues, and vents were positioned to allow continuous upward airflow, carrying smoke out while drawing fresh air into lower portions of the home. Adjustability in smoke flaps or vent covers gave residents dynamic control, enabling them to respond to changing wind conditions, fire intensity, or occupancy levels. This adaptive ventilation minimized respiratory irritation and maintained a healthy environment even when multiple fires were burning simultaneously. The integration of fire, smoke management, and ventilation demonstrates a sophisticated grasp of thermal physics and indoor air circulation long before formal scientific principles were codified. Interior layouts were organized to optimize both movement and thermal efficiency. Pathways were designed to allow entry and exit without compromising the warmth of living areas. Sleeping quarters were elevated and insulated to retain heat, and partitions or hanging dividers concentrated warmth in occupied zones. Storage areas were placed near heat sources to preserve perishable foods while maintaining stable temperatures. Communal spaces were arranged to facilitate social interaction, labor, and ritual activity, all while reinforcing patterns of heat distribution. This careful orchestration of spatial planning demonstrates that winter homes were not merely shelters. They were dynamic systems designed to support life, productivity, and social cohesion. Subterranean and semi-subterranean construction techniques amplified the thermal efficiency of these homes. By partially embedding structures below ground level, builders exploited the Earth's consistent thermal mass to buffer indoor temperatures against extreme cold. Floors remained warmer than the ambient air, and walls insulated with soil, sod, or clay reduced conductive and convective heat loss. Roofs layered with organic materials added further insulation, creating a protective envelope that maintained comfort with minimal fuel expenditure. These designs highlight a sophisticated integration of environmental science, material selection, and practical architecture. Maintenance and repair routines were integral to the long-term functionality of winter homes. Roofs were checked for leaks, smoke outlets were cleared to ensure proper ventilation, and insulation layers were replaced or reinforced seasonally. Floors, platforms, and interior partitions were adjusted to optimize warmth and airflow, reflecting a continuous process of adaptation. These practices ensured that homes remained effective over months of extreme weather, illustrating a disciplined approach to environmental management that extended beyond initial construction. Maintenance was a communal activity, often involving multiple families or community members, reinforcing both survival and social cohesion. The adaptability of winter homes was further enhanced through seasonal adjustments. Openings could be modified to reduce drafts, Additional layers of insulation could be added to walls or roofs, and interior partitions could be repositioned to concentrate warmth in areas of highest occupancy. These adjustments allowed residents to respond to fluctuating weather, snow accumulation, or changes in group size. By viewing the home as a living, adaptive system rather than a static structure, Native Americans ensured that their winter shelters remained functional, efficient, and comfortable throughout the entire season. Thermal zoning within homes reflected a deep understanding of human physiology and comfort. Sleeping areas were positioned in warmer zones above heated floors or near the fire, while work and storage areas occupied slightly cooler sections. Raised platforms for beds or seating insulated occupants from cold floors, and curtains or hanging dividers concentrated warmth where it was most needed. This microclimate management allowed energy to be conserved while providing comfort for individuals engaged in different activities, demonstrating a sophisticated approach to interior environmental control. Material selection was equally critical to the home's long-term performance. Bark, sod, clay, and hides were layered to maximize insulation, while mats, grasses, and furs enhanced comfort inside. The thermal properties of each material were understood empirically, guiding choices for walls, roofs, and interior furnishings. Materials were treated, reinforced, or replaced as necessary to maintain performance, reflecting a careful integration of craftsmanship, observation, and cultural knowledge. These choices were not static. They evolved over generations as communities refined techniques and identified the most effective combinations for their specific environment. The communal and cultural aspects of winter homes reinforced their effectiveness. Shared labor in construction, maintenance, and heating allowed resources to be used efficiently, while the organization of interior space supported both social and survival needs. Knowledge of construction, ventilation, and heat management was passed down orally and through hands-on apprenticeship, embedding survival strategies in cultural practice. This continuity ensured that effective winter homes could be reproduced and improved over generations, preserving a deep understanding of environmental adaptation. Food storage and preservation were closely integrated into home design. Elevated platforms and storage compartments kept food dry and insulated, while proximity to fire allowed perishable items to remain at safe temperatures. The arrangement of storage areas took advantage of thermal gradients, with the warmest zones used for active living, spaces and cooler zones reserved for preservation. By combining heat management with practical storage solutions, winter homes ensured both survival and efficiency, enabling communities to endure long periods of scarcity without compromising health. The interaction of architectural design, materials, and human activity created a self-regulating environment. Fires produced warmth while smoke was vented effectively. Raised sleeping areas and insulated furnishings conserved heat. Partitions and interior organization minimized drafts. These homes functioned as integrated systems in which every element contributed to overall performance. The result was a durable, adaptive, and comfortable interior environment, capable of supporting life through prolonged periods of extreme cold. Even in the harshest winter storms, these homes maintained functionality. Roofs sloped to shed snow, walls were reinforced to withstand wind, and insulation retained heat even during prolonged cold spells. Fires, ventilation, and interior organization worked in concert to create a habitable space despite external conditions that could be deadly. The careful observation of environmental forces and human needs, combined with adaptive construction and maintenance, ensured that survival was possible without modern heating or building technology. The legacy of these homes extends beyond physical structures. They embody a holistic understanding of the interaction between humans and the environment, demonstrating the integration of empirical observation, material science, social organization, and cultural knowledge. Each generation contributed refinements, ensuring that homes were both resilient and responsive to changing conditions. This cumulative knowledge allowed communities to endure winters that would have been fatal without carefully engineered shelters. The spatial design of winter homes illustrates a remarkable understanding of circulation, airflow, and thermal distribution. Doors, vents, and partitions were positioned to control drafts, channel heat, and maintain safe smoke levels. Interior pathways allowed residents to move efficiently without losing warmth, while sleeping and living areas were arranged according to comfort and proximity to heat sources. By integrating movement, social function, and environmental control, these homes maximized both safety and comfort. Even the smallest architectural details were purposeful. The curvature of roofs directed snow and wind, thickness of walls moderated heat loss, and positioning of smoke holes ensured proper ventilation. Interiors were adjusted with movable partitions, mats, and furnishings to concentrate warmth where needed. This attention to detail reflects centuries of empirical knowledge passed down through observation, experimentation, and cultural teaching, resulting in homes that performed optimally across generations. The result of these design strategies was a home that supported life, labor, and community cohesion through extreme winters. People could cook, sleep, socialize, and store food while maintaining warmth and air quality. Children, elders, and workers all benefited from the careful orchestration of thermal zones and airflow. These homes were living systems, balancing environmental forces with human activity and cultural practice. Survival, comfort, and social organization were all embedded in their design. Winter homes were thus both technology and culture. The combination of material selection, thermal management, ventilation, and interior planning created environments capable of sustaining life even in the harshest climates. Knowledge of construction, maintenance, and adaptive use was preserved and refined over generations, embedding survival strategies into cultural memory. These homes demonstrate that architecture, observation, and community knowledge can create sustainable, resilient solutions to extreme environmental challenges. Ultimately, Native American winter homes reflect an extraordinary integration of environment, materials, and human needs. They were designed to retain heat, manage smoke, and facilitate indoor movement, providing comfort and safety through prolonged cold. Their performance was sustained by regular maintenance, cultural transmission, and adaptive use, ensuring that each generation could endure winters with confidence and resilience. The principles underlying these homes, passive heating, efficient ventilation, thermal zoning, and adaptive materials, continue to inspire and inform modern approaches to sustainable, climate-responsive architecture. By combining structural innovation, empirical knowledge, and cultural continuity, Native Americans created winter homes that were more than shelters. They were systems of survival. Every layer, every partition, every smoke hole served a purpose in regulating temperature, airflow, and comfort. The result was an enduring adaptive environment in which communities could thrive, despite the severity of winter, demonstrating the profound intelligence, observation, and ingenuity embedded in traditional architecture.